Welcome back to another episode of Week in Review. This week we're going to take a look at the 3.4 Evocati release, the modding tools that were recently released, an update on all of the current ships in the verse, and more. So with that said, let's get started. So at number 6 we have updates. This week introduced 2 new builds into the verse, with 3.3.7 releasing to the live servers, and 3.4 hitting the Evocati test group. 3.3.7 primarily focused on the removal of anniversary content from the release, alongside a range of minor bug fixes and stability fixes. Despite this, many citizens have complained of the release being slower and buggier than the previous 3.3.6 release, so your mileage may vary. 3.4 is in its second patch released to Evocati, though many of the roadmap features are still missing as CIG gets into testing one of the core features. The primary focus of this patch is missions, with CIG having made a number of improvements to the missions themselves and to NPC interaction. We'll hear more over the coming weeks, with CIG expected to release something to the wider community on the 20th of December. At number 5, we have the roadmap update. Progress on 3.4 really picked up the pace this week, adding 15% overall and leaving us at 66%. 7 items found themselves completed, with 17 of the 27 tasks having made progress this week. Quantum travel improvements, performance optimization and player interaction improvements were the winners here, with 94, 75 and 72% increases respectively, and only 2 tasks are yet to begin. Overall a great week, but we'll see how CIG keeps up with just 2 weeks until the anticipated release. 3.5 also sees slightly more progress, though in the opposite direction. This week we lose 6%, however more tasks are beginning and tasks are being fleshed out. DNA face customization more than doubles the number of tasks to complete. Lyria moves to 89% completion, preparing to be the second of ArcCorp's moons to be completed, and the Area 18 landing zone picks up 7% progress, marking the official beginning of this task. It seems that a number of devs have already turned their attention to this release, and that's a great sign for the New Year release appearing on time. Overall a great week for development, and CIG are doing a pretty good job of keeping to their quarterly release schedule. We'll see what the 20th brings. At number 4 we have modding. This week saw the release of a suite of modding tools for Star Citizen, courtesy of Unknown44. The tools allow players access to all of the dev commands CIG use while developing the game, alongside a tool to allow users to explore and edit game files and resources, allowing for offline mode play, where a player can spawn any ship, explore unreleased areas and turn on experimental features. While CIG did commit to releasing modding support in the future during the stretch goal phase, there has been no official response as of yet confirming their position on this toolkit. For now it is believed to be against the terms and conditions of the game, so if you don't want to lose the hundreds if not thousands of dollars you spent on ships, I'd avoid this one until a more official response appears. If you're set on getting access to this toolkit, do so at your own risk by looking up Unknown44 on Reddit. At number 3 we have Around the Verse. This week's ATV showed off some upcoming work for 3.4, taking a look at Lyria, Lorville's business district and more. First off, Lyria has been receiving more environment work, fleshing out the style and ecosystem for this moon. The environment team have been working on the Lorville business district, including the central building in the middle of Lorville. This building contrasts with the rest of the planet, being the home to the Hurston family, brimming with class and style. This is designed to be their showpiece, taking you out of the harsh, gritty environment of Lorville, and replacing it with this high-class expo of family history and products the company has developed. All of the weapons are purchasable in the showcase, and there will be an all-new mission giver in this building. Constantine Hurston will give you a number of missions as he tries to raise his profile within the Hurston family. A range of new assets has been created to fill the administrative and business sectors of this building, including the location where Constantine will be found. And that's all for ATV this week, lots of exciting things coming up, which we should see release in 3.4. At number 2, we have Reverse the Verse. This week's RTV is focused on updating citizens on the state of all the ships currently in the pipeline and answering questions about them. The first topic covered is the difference between reworks and improvements. When CIG talk about reworking, it generally involves throwing away the entire concept and starting again from scratch. Improvements, however, are just focused on taking one aspect of a ship, such as an engine room, and reworking or improving just that one aspect. The Vanguard will have some improvements, adding some ship components, reworking the bathroom on the Warden, and a few other minor tweaks. The Freelancer has no plans to change the visibility at the moment. There are issues with moving the seats closer together, making it difficult for both players to exit the ship. The Redeemer is still in the plans, but CIG decided it will need a full rework before it's added to the verse. The gunship dropship hybrid model was causing issues for CIG, but will come back in the future in its full glory. The Reliant range is being worked on at the moment, improving the rear of the ships and refitting the liveries for each of the variants. As of 3.5, you should be able to manipulate the ship without using the flight system. This means for a ship like the Reliant, you can rotate it without requiring landing mode. Despite the release of the science and news reporting Reliant variants, CIG are not expecting this gameplay to come online in 3.5. Early images show work on the Vanguard, looking at the very early layout of the ship. The ship has many similar elements to the original, but several areas have been reworked, with larger doors, component bays, and more. The idea is to unify the ship exterior, making it easier to work with and maintain in the future. The hull series is about 80% of the way to complete in terms of art. It currently doesn't have any of the expand and contract artwork or functionality set up, and it's missing the landing gear, technical information, etc. It's currently waiting for a range of technical dependencies to complete before CIG continue to develop it. It needs the vehicle state machine coming in 3.5, more SCU cargo box sizes, local physics grid tech, and more before it's ready to be added to the verse. Another key piece of tech missing is docking, something CIG are hoping to add soon to help a number of larger ships. They'll be starting with docking to stations and rest stops, but ship-to-ship docking will come with time. The Polaris isn't currently under development, but the style guide for RSI is being built out in preparation for when the ship enters active development. Ship armor will be getting a change in the future, as it currently doesn't degrade, and it simply reduces the damage by a set multiplier. The Idris is still in the final art phase, having almost all art complete. That said, there's a ton of work to complete in terms of technical art, system setup, and more. CIG are also wanting to hold the Idris till Squadron 42 releases, with Squadron being your first experience of the ship. Finally, it's also waiting on several multi-crew mechanics to come online, as the Idris will be almost impossible to utilise fully with one person. CIG are hoping to bring the Vulture online in time for salvage to make its way into the verse, but this might not be possible. It will be prioritised to try and get it online, but it's not always practical. The Endeavour hasn't progressed much at this stage, but it's also waiting on a range of tech to come online before it's ready. As it's a highly modular ship, there's a lot of tech relating to the modularity that needs to come online first. The modules will be swappable on and off of the ship the same way that any item can be swapped. These modules will be physical items, and CIG are currently thinking that you'll store them in your home hangar when you want to swap them out. The Caterpillar is still planned to be a modular ship, but there aren't any plans to begin work on those at the moment. The 890 Jump is also receiving work, and it's now confirmed that it has a medical bay. The whole ship is looking very good, and is in full production at the moment, currently planned for 3.6. The 890 Jump has the capacity to hold two 85Xs and comes with one by default. The Orion has got a little bit bigger, but it's not currently in development. The Lynx and Origin rovers are planned for production in the next 12 months, but no release dates as of yet. The Merchantman is going to production next year, with the Carrack team working on it after the Carrack releases, but there's no timeline for release. The Carrack grew from its original 123 meters to 170 during the previous design, and CIG have been pushing to work this back down. As of right now, it sits at 125 meters, just 2 meters longer than the original. It remains mostly the same, with a slightly reworked landing gear and minor modifications to the interior. CIG are still trying to get the shielded bridge to work, and they're not quite sure how this will work as of yet. The interior and exterior are being whiteboxed, and you can see many of the designs already in this week's episode. The Pisces is not currently under development, but it is due to begin next year at some point. And that's all for RTV this week. Any ships not mentioned are currently not under active development, but we've got a good range of things being worked on, and an idea of what to expect in the future. And finally, at number 1, we have the community overview. The community this week are mixed, with many enjoying Carrack-related news and imagery. On the other hand, many are venturing into the world of Star Citizen modding, a topic which has raised much debate across the community. Without official word from CIG, many are unsure as to how modding the game might affect them, and whether it's a morally okay thing to do. Frequent debates arise across the community each time this topic is mentioned. What do you think of this issue? Leave me a comment down below. And that's all from me for this week. Like if you liked it, get subscribed, and I'll see you in next week's episode of Week in Review.